Hello and you're very welcome to the JMAC podcast. I'm Jogman. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by Orgretch.com and Atak.ie. Use the promo code JMAC podcast to get 15% off on Orgretch.com. Get the best skins, gloves, whipping on Atak.ie. Be attack-minded. And Stephen, I'm joined by Kingscourt footballer Joe Dillon to look ahead to this weekend's Cavan Senior Football Championship semi-finals between Ramor and Killegar and Crusherlaw and Gowna. So it's going to be a great weekend. And of course, the Crusherlaw and Gowna game is live on RTE2 this Saturday at 7:30. So Kingscourt Breffni Park is going to be on live television. Joe Dillon, how are you?
Good, John. All well. How are you?
All good, my man. All good. Lovely top you're wearing. How's things?
Good. Yeah, Usher, not too bad. Not licking the wounds.
Licking the wounds. Yeah, I'm licking the wounds after getting back from the sun as well. So it's taken a while to get back into the swing of things, Joe. How is life, my man?
It's the month for routine, September.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh, right. You learn something new every day. There you go. Didn't know that. Good stuff. How's life, my man? Obviously, you are unfortunately out of the Cavan Senior Championship for another year. Obviously, Killegar move on, and it was an unbelievable game. I think your goal has made it over to America at this stage. It's gone viral. Barry Riley's goal as well. Barry will love that plug. But what a game. And how would you look at Kingscourt year even?
Yeah, look at disappointing with the way to finish and get bet, but that's it. We I suppose as the league throughout the league we hadn't probably the most hectic years. We'd a poor league, and I suppose we were lucky to get into a quarter final at all, and when we got that far, look, it was great to get that far, but disappointing how it ended. But I suppose we probably left it all on the field and give it our best. There's been plenty of years there where we pipped Killegar, so I suppose it was their turn to do it to us.
Yeah, and of course the way the game was going, Joe, was probably the game of the championship probably by a country mile. And I suppose as we were talking off air, maybe the standard hasn't been brilliant to Cavan so far this year. Maybe Saturday we could be in for another good game, of course Sunday as well. But I suppose, Joe, how did you sum up the game against Killegar a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it's hard to sum it up. People said to me it was a great game and it was a high intensity game and there was plenty of scoring, and that it was when you look back. And I suppose when you're involved there and then, it's a different story. You never really think of it as like that. But look, to sum it up, it was a good game to be involved in. I think it was probably a forwards game, But just I suppose that from our own behalf, we thought we performed fairly well. But I suppose we did. Looking back at that second half, we had our chances to take a draw game or lead. So we've nobody to blame, but ourselves, and that's it. We to take that in the chin. But look at Killegar, as I said to you there, they've a good side. They haven't had their full strength, I suppose, in the last 4 or 5 years. They had lads there, big injuries. So they'll be a handful now come the semi-final. I know Ramor have a few lads missing this year, especially with young James getting his cruciate and a few boys away at the start of the year. So it's an opportunity for them, to kind of push on if they want it. Obviously Ramor is definitely going to be no pushover in that regard, but it's a big opportunity for Killegar now in the semi-final of the championship.
Yeah, I suppose coming away from the game, Joe, what was his thoughts after? And obviously, he's so damn close. And I know probably fortuitous enough for maybe for Killegar at the end. It was really looking like it was going to be a draw. But just what a game to be involved in, as you say. It's supposed obviously interest to get your perspective on that. You didn't realize maybe how good of a game it was until you maybe come away from it, or people say, or you see videos. But yeah, what a game.
A good game to be involved in. You could pick out different plays and frees and things that happen. As I said, the last free at the end, to me, the call was the call. It didn't matter. I personally think we had our chances within that second half to make a difference and change that scoreline, and we didn't take that. We didn't take them opportunities. I suppose as well, we didn't have a great league. We didn't have a great group stage in the championship. We could have easily been in a relegation battle. Was it not, that we won our last game of the group? So we got to a quarter final on 3 points, and we were lucky in a regard in one way, but that's it. We gave it our all on that on the day, and it didn't happen for us. But that's it. We'll be back at it again. There's always, as the fella says, next year.
Yeah, geez, what's in it? What was it? Johnny Logan sang? What's another year? But yeah, 100%, Joe. I suppose like overall, few price shoots, obviously in Kingscourt, obviously yourself and Barry Riley and obviously Pork Faulkner, obviously leading the line, and just keep the thing going for Kingscourt. So I suppose really based on that Killegar game, and like as I said to you off air, Joe, it was so good to see you and collectively as a team playing to your strengths. So it really does go to show you can get to that top level once again.
Yeah, look, but absolutely, you can get there. There's no doubt about it. But the hard work has to be put in, and I think Kingscourt will go away now, and we'll take a break, and we'll reassess where we are, and maybe we need to put a bit of work in through the pre-season and do stuff that maybe we haven't done before, and try rebuild. I think, as I touched on there, we probably didn't have the greatest leagues campaign. I can't heard me one talk, and I wasn't really involved in any of the league. So to get to that level, as the fella says, you can't just really turn it on. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the hours and the training, and that's it. And I think a learning on that is if that's to be done or to get to them high levels, it doesn't matter who or what you are. You have to put in the hours, and maybe we need to reassess that and put in more training, pre-season and be there throughout the league campaigns and such. So, yeah, absolutely. There's a belief. The Kings will always have a belief, but you have to put in the grind. You have to put in the hard yards.
Yeah, like anything in life, you have to work hard for it, Joe. And I suppose lastly on it, overall, you can happy enough with the year Kingsford did have, and maybe like I know obviously this weekend, it's probably is bittersweet. Just could have been potentially involved. Things went right against Killegar in the last couple of minutes. Who knows? But overall, Owen Lennon took charges this year after Finbar Riley. Overall, happy enough.
Yeah, happy with like Owen and Benny took over there. Management has been very good. The trainings has been excellent, I have to say. There's never any issue. I never seen a problem this year with management or any decisions they made. I think Kingscourt as a team will be disappointed. I am disappointed. You're always disappointed when you're knocked out of the championship. You no matter any year you go in, you want to win. It's as simple as that. But then when you look in hindsight, we probably were lucky not to be in a relegation battle too this year, just the way things went, But when you do win that, when we did beat Gowna and we got the run, you do expect then to, you want to go the whole way. So, and on that regard, it's disappointing, but on the other hand of it, we could have been easily in a relegation. But as with the boys, the management is very good. There's a great relationship there between the management and the players, and they're trying everything. They're coaching us well. They're showing us what to do. So I think it's like, when you cross the line, you have to take control of the situations that's in front of you. You can do all the training. This obviously you have to put in the hard yards, put in the work. But when you're on the field as a team, you have to make the calls yourselves as players. And you have to put in the work on the field. So, but the management have set us up well for that, and I hope to stay on. I don't know what their decisions are. We've a meeting now come Friday night, and we'll know more then if they're going to be with us this or next year.
Absolutely. We have to ask obviously about the new addition this year, Mr. Jordan Morris.
Yes.
Fine championship he did have, Joe. Probably the dream lad to be playing with.
Absolutely. In fairness to Jordan, he's a super footballer, and he's all the attributes of a natural full forward, centre forward. He's the power, he's the strength, he can feel the ball, he can kick the score. And he's a massive addition to that Kingscourt team. But that's it. You have to. Jordan's he's gelled in well with the boys, and he's got on. He's got on very well. But it just goes to show you could have 10 all-stars on the team. You have to put in the hard work, and I suppose maybe that's something that we probably lacked a little bit overall this year. Jordan, that's not Jordan. Jordan's a super footballer, but as a team, we probably lacked a bit of hard work come the end of it, and that consistency. But no, he's super footballer, Jordan. I'm sure Mickey Graham and the boys trying to bring him into the Cavan side.
No doubt they are, yeah. No doubt they are. No doubt they are. He is a sensational talent, and one you'd pay money to go watch without a doubt. I suppose, Joe, yeah, of course, we're here to talk about this weekend's action, and I will briefly just run through the results last weekend. Of course, a couple of standard fixtures, just briefly. In the Michael Fitzpatrick Architects Limited Junior Championship 2022 semi-final between Drumley and Drumlane. Drumley won 4, Drumlane 10 points. In the Cairn Service Station Senior Championship 2022 relegation playoff, it was Ballyhaise 8 points and Butlersbridge 6 points. I suppose, Joe, Ballyhaise probably unfortunate to find themselves in that position. Obviously, Butlersbridge coming up from intermediate last year, but you know, it was well, probably not a game for the ages.
Yeah, and credit to Butlersbridge for you know, getting out of that game. What did you say? Sorry, John. What did you tell me the score was?
8-6.
8-6
in Ballyheise's favour. Yeah.
Sorry, Ballyhaise.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. No, look, that's it. And Butlersbridge go. They're play. Did they have another chance at it?
Oh, that's them gone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Go back
there.
Yeah.
Look, it's tough. It's tough to come up. It's tough to come up to senior in your first year and stay there. You know, disappointing for Butlersbridge, but no doubt they've super footballers. And no doubt they'll be back up and they'll be knocking on the door again, you know, next year again. But obviously disappointing to come up and go down straight away in your first year.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no doubt they'll be back once again. And then on the McAvoy Super Value Virginia Intermediate Championship 2022 relegation playoff, Killegar 7 points, Belturbet 14 points. So Belturbet cement their place in the Intermediate Championship next year. And then the big one last Saturday in the Cairn Service Station Senior Championship 2022 quarterfinal replay. It was Cavan Gaels 9 points, Gowna 2-14. Mr. Dillon, where did that result come from?
Yeah, it's a serious performance by Gowna, and that's it. You know, you get on top of a team, and it's a terror what can happen. You know, even a good side, even a good team. I suppose. Look at credit to Gowna. They're in a semi-final, and I say Cavan Gaels will be very disappointed with that. I think that Garrod scored 7 of the 9 points. At least, yeah. Yeah, so I think that's obviously a major factor too, and there seems to be a lot of reliance maybe going towards him, by reading into that maybe, you know, the scoreline and the scores taken. But that's it. A shock result, but you know, it's a big game now coming Saturday night with Crusher now and Gowna, especially on TV. Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose obviously touching on it, we were talking off air about it, and I suppose I made the point on my Facebook page today, you know, with the likes of, you know, Shawnee Johnson was obviously brought back this year, maybe to help the lads out as much as possible and, you know, potentially win a championship for the Gaels. And I really did think there's parts of that Cavan Gaels Gowna game in the last few minutes, maybe early second half, maybe bring him on. And, you know, it's like anything else. You bring a lad like that back, you want to get something out of him. Maybe, I think Joe maybe could have sprung him, but look, it's all debate, Joe. Maybe he didn't want to come on himself. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe that was it. Who knows? Yeah, look, listen, you could argue that, and I don't know, maybe Gio was looking at Shawnee to come in maybe in a tight situation. If the game was nip and tuck, you know, in the last 10 minutes to throw him in, would Shawnee be fit? You know, has Shawnee played any all year? Would he be fit to play 20 minutes, 30 minutes? You know, these are all questions you'd have to ask. And maybe when the scoreline without a you know, went away from them, he might have thought, well, maybe it's not, you know, it's not wise to put this man on the field. But yeah, look, you could argue all that, surely, John. But Cavan Gaels will be definitely disappointed with that result. And you feel maybe, I know we were kind of saying off air, and I know a lot of these lads for Cavan Gaels have, you know, give a lot to the cause, the Murrays, the Smiths, the, you know, all these Gaels gentlemen that's been on the block for so long. Maybe do you feel it's a bit of an end of an era and, you know, time for maybe other gents to step up? Yeah, look, it's hard to know. I know, them lads you've mentioned there, they have a lot of miles on the clock, like us all. It's not getting any easier either. But and that's it. And maybe it is time for them young lads to step on to the team and but that's it. I suppose you have to them lads are not going to give up their place too easy, and maybe they're needed there as leaders. But that's it. If the young lads are coming through, they'll come through, and they'll come through in the natural process. But it could be an end of an era. I don't know if it's an end of an era. They still got to a quarter final of a championship. But a lot of mileage, you would say, on the legs. Yeah, I suppose if you're comparing, maybe I suppose the standard of Cavan Gaels is so high that you're
Yeah,
comparing them to successful teams of the past, and maybe that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
we expect Cavan Gaels to always be.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just kind of making the comment that maybe just at stages it just looked like they're getting very leggy, and
Yes,
them boys have been there, done that. They've numerous championship medals, and it just felt like I wouldn't. Okay, maybe end of an era, maybe that's too blunt for phrase, but just in terms of just they've done as much as maybe they can at this stage. Maybe this year was the last one big push.
yeah. Look, you never know, and you never know year by year. And you could comment and say that yeah, maybe it was a push, but maybe they got their tactics completely wrong, and they might learn from that and go out and do something different next year. I know Kings could looking at our performance against Killegar. There's loads of areas there where you were saying, you could have done things differently.
Yeah.
And I know it was a high scoring game again, against with Gowna and Cavan Gaels, but sometimes things just go very wrong for you on the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, that's Cavan Gaels' journey in the championship finished. And then on Sunday in the Cairn Service Station Senior Championship 2022 quarterfinal replay between Mullahoran and Ramor. It was Ramor 110, Mullahoran 6 points. I suppose, Joe, 1 point in the second half of Mullahoran will not cut it at this level.
No, definitely not. And in fairness to Mullahoran, they put up a very good fight on the first day out against Ramor. A great comeback, and obviously that's it. Rammer kicked on the second day, but yeah, look at as you say, 1 point is not going to cut it. I think Mullahoran know that themselves, but Mullahoran are always a very hard bet team. They're a tough championship team. It's in their blood. It's in their DNA. But that said, Rammer just got the best of them. The Rammer, I suppose, they are county champions, and they were put to the test, and they came out by it.
Yeah, and obviously, another year over for Mullahoran, and then we move on to the McAvoy Super Value Virginia Intermediate Championship 2022 semi-final between Cucullins and Castlerahan. It was obviously a draw. Cucullins 1-6, Castlerahan 9 points, and I suppose very exciting finish. I suppose conditions weren't fantastic for this game, Joe, but they have another bite of the cherry this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a game I watched, actually. I ended up watching, and both teams will say, will come away from that and say they had their chance to win the game. Castlerahan and Cucullins, and they seem to be a very, very evenly matched, team. So I couldn't even call it for the next day out. I suppose Cucullins you feel has youth. They're the team that's up and coming. Castlerahan has the old experienced heads. So it'll be interesting to see how that fares out this weekend again.
I thought you were going to say Keane Mackey's back. God, geez, Joe. Oh, that's too much news on a Wednesday night, Jesus. No, he's playing his trade down long for that man. Unless there's a comeback brewing, who knows? And then in the Michael Fitzpatrick, stranger things are happening. 100%, Joe. We live in a mad world. And then in the Michael Fitzpatrick Architects Junior Championship 2022 semi-final, you have Knockbride 1-6, Arva 113, and I suppose, Joe, Arva really kicking into gear, hot favourites to the Junior Championship. Another good performance on Sunday.
Yes, and in fairness, and the Hull is back with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, look at Arva have a bunch of very good footballers too. The Morrises, Holla,
Conal Sheridan.
Conal Sheridan is right. So they have a great backbone there, and they'll be hard bet. And it wasn't too long ago where Arva were were up senior, and so they will be looking to get out of that junior championship and back up to the higher ranks.
Yeah, it's obviously a good win. And on Gabriel Crokin and there from in go. And this is a great game on Sunday as well. Quite controversial as well. Lots of calls and incidents. I know Hill were happy at times, but that's the way the ball went for them. It was in the McAvoy Super Value Virginia Intermediate Championship 2022 semi-final. It was Hill 110, Ballyhaise 310. Joe, I watched this game from afar. It was mouth-watering at the end. Had it all, to be fair.
Yes, yeah, and two senior league teams going at it. You'd have to say will be very, the winner of that game is going to be is going to be very hard bet in the final. Obviously, Ballyhaise got through in the end, and you'd have to say Ballyhaise will be, our favourites going into the next, going into the next part. So, a very good game. Hill put up a good fight, but just wasn't good enough in the end.
Yeah, and obviously Ballyhaise showing serious form and probably looking like favourites for the intermediate championship. Cullens and Casaran will definitely have a few things to say about that as well. But no, it was a very, and obviously serious credit obviously as well to Cudill, Joe, because no one kind of seen them coming out of nowhere. And obviously they're down. The Hayes brothers, obviously Josh and Tom, are playing the trade in Dublin at the minute. So in fairness, John McCutcheon and the boys, they're doing very well for the pick to have.
They are surely, yeah, and a tough team. I think that Enda Hessen got back as well for the.
Hessen got sent off, didn't he? Yeah.
Did he get sent off? He
sent
did, yes.
Off, yeah.
But look, it's yeah. Look at and two teams, as I said to you, that played senior league football this year. So that's definitely, that will definitely have stood to them.
Yeah.
Get them hard games, and as I said, Ballyhaise will be very hard bet. And have been motoring well all year, consistently well all year,
Kevin Terry can't even get a game either, so goes to show.
There you go. That's saying something.
Yeah, and obviously David Brady flying for them as well. Michael Brady, later with talent, and they are looking very good for that intermediate, but we will wait and see. And of course, Joe, moving on to this weekend's action on Friday night. In the McAvoy Super Value Virginia Intermediate Championship 2022 semi-final replay is Cullens against Casaran, round 2, Joe. So, yeah, very hard game to call once again.
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me to call a team there. I couldn't. There's the Castlereagh lad all right in my house, but I don't know. I can't call it after watching the last game. As I said to you, it's a team of youth against experienced old heads. You'd feel if Cullens got by this game, it'd be a big stepping stone for them. They've been thereabouts the last couple of years. They just can't seem to get by. And they have good footballers, very good footballers. And they have an abundance of youth there and great numbers coming through. So you'd like, for them, it'd be great. Castlereagh are probably hanging on. They feel they have a point to prove to people that they shouldn't have been, relegated from the senior divisions. So it's two teams fighting for two different things, and it'll be very interesting to see the result this weekend.
Yeah, I suppose obviously Casaran and Cullens last there. It was a very close, nervy, edgy finish, and probably closer than a lot of people think. Obviously, Casaran were probably hotly tipped to win that game, but it goes to show obviously Mickey Ling over Cullens and Brian Donoghue over Casaran. So a draw probably was a fair result, but there is big pressure on both of them teams to win an intermediate championship.
Yeah. Look at that. That's both managers want to prove, prove that they're good enough to win. Brian is a super manager too, and has won with Ballyhaise. Mickey Ling involved with Cullens now. Is it 2 or 3 years?
Second year, yeah.
Second year, yeah. So he'll want to prove a point that his team are good enough and that he can, go on and win the championship with them. Yeah, look, a lot of expectations as there always is with managers and teams, etc. But it's a big game. It's a big game for both teams. Castlereagh's after falling from the senior status, and if they don't if they don't come out of this, this year, it's very hard to pick yourself up and go at it again. When you come down a division like that, it's very hard to get out. So they'll probably want to, if there ever was a time for them, they'd want to jump back up straight away. And then on the other hand, as I said to you, Cuchulain's, it's a big opportunity for them to prove themselves and to go on and maybe get into senior status. So it's all to play for, all to fight for.
If you're going to make a call, who would you be thinking?
I can't call.
Can't call.
Well, play it safe.
Go to draw.
Another draw.
Go to another draw. Back to draw. Penalties, 100%. Jeez, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be a great way to start the weekend. And on to the big one, Mr. Dillon, in the Cairn Service Station Senior Championship 2022 semi-final. Kingspan Breffni Park, 7:30. Referee Conor Deneen. It's Gowna against Crutchlelaw. It'll be live on RTE2. Joe Dillon, what are we thinking about this one?
Yeah, a massive game for both teams. Crutchlelaw's tip for favourites, and Gowna is definitely going to want to upset that. It's the makings of a real championship game. You're going to see. You're hoping you're going to see the toughness, the physicality, the high tempo, high intensity, good scoring, good defending. You're expecting it all, and then to be live on RT is great as well for them players. To be nationally seen. So it's going to be a cracker of a game, I think. And again, I can't call it. You have to say Crutchlelaw are probably the slightly favoured team. But how Gowna's come into the semi-final, beating Gaels on such a scoreline, they're there to upset the odds as well again. So looking forward to actually watching myself and sitting down and having a beer or two and enjoying watching the game, I suppose.
Relaxing, it'll be good. Obviously, might take a bit of the attendance away from Breffni, but of course, people would probably be mad to get to go to the game. And like you rightly said, it was a great performance. Gowna did have against Cavan Gaels. They're peaking at a really good time. Quarter-final stage, Joe. Obviously, Dermot McKay, Peter Riley over Gowna this year as well. After last year was disappointment in the final, so it looks like all guns blazing for this quarter-final. Semi-final, sorry.
Yeah. On from Gowna's perspective, and they'll feel that that county final got away from them last year, and they'll feel they'll have something to prove. This year especially, look, it's going to be a big game for both teams. It's all to play for. Gowna starting to get their full strength back. So is Crutchlelaw. They both have their full hands as good as. So it'll be very interesting to see how it pans out, and even tactically how things are gonna go, and the matchups. I'm looking forward to seeing a few matchups too, and see will players be moved around different positions. So a very interesting game, and hopefully it has all the expectations. Hopefully it has all what it's lived up to be.
Yeah, and obviously the likes of Darren McPheety coming back for Crutchlelaw this year, Joe, and I think they're sweating. I think James Smith's fitness is 50-50 at the minute, but he'd be a great addition for Saturday night. Obviously the likes of Paddy Lynch, Stephen Smith, Pierce Smith. So it's a star-studded team, Joe. It's
a star-studded team. It is, surely. But as we talked about earlier, it's you can have all the stars on your team. You have to work hard and get down to business. But absolutely, and them players have had, Paddy Lynch has a great year with Cavan, Dara being back. It's massive for them. Stephen going well. It is. You have to say Crutchlelaw are the favourites going into this game, but I think if there was a team, obviously back
could do
it to enjoy the underdog, and especially against Crutchlelaw, it's going to be Gowna. So they'll relish that, no doubt.
Yeah, I think Gowna will really love kind of coming up against the gentleman after name. And obviously, Gowna point of view, Joe, obviously Conor Madden leading the line for Gowna up front, and I think Tiernan Madden obviously had a great game the last day, and Keen Madden. There's so many Maddens to get through. Joe, you could it's only 1 to 15, but there's a real, like in the quarterfinal, looked like a real ruthlessness about this Gowna team, and I suppose they're finally getting the form back after probably a sloppy enough start.
Yeah. Gowna, a big statement the last day against Cavan Gaels. There's no doubt about that. And they're getting a few boys back from injury, and they seem to be nearly peaking at the right time. And there's a lot to be. That's hard done. As we were talking about earlier, it's just about getting out of the group, doing what you have to do to get out of the group, making a quarter final, and then kind of getting yourself ready for a quarter final of the championship and peaking from there. And Gowna seemed to kind of time that well, especially in the way they dismantled Cavan Gaels last weekend. So, as I said to you, it's going to be very interesting. Crushlaw will be favourites, but it'll be how Gowna approach this. They will relish that, and they will want to prove a point and take Crushlaw off the pedestal.
Yeah, and obviously from the Gowna point of view, Ryan McGahern done a great job on Grove McCarran the last day out, and Mark McKeever still playing, still going up bombing up and down the wing as well. Joe, like two great leaders to that Gowna team.
Absolutely, yeah. We played against them in that group stage, and yeah, Ryan, good footballer, tough, good defender. Mark, a leader as always, and still has it in the legs.
If Mark can do it, you can do it, Joe.
Yeah, but look, it's two big players for them, and Gowna, they're full of leaders too. The Brady's, the Maddens. You can go through.
Connor Brady was brilliant last day.
Yeah, you go through them all. But I think it's a team that has, Gowna and Crushlaw. When you break the two of them down, they're very similar. They can play a good sign of a good footballing team. You can mix it all ways. You can play football. You can mix it tough. You can play defensive. You can play attack. You can mix it all sorts of ways. And the two teams play like that. That's why I think it'll be such a great game to watch. Or this weekend. So it's going to be a real crunch game.
Who's going to win it?
I go with another draw.
Oh, right. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I just think, I think Gowna's motoring well. They're peaking quite well at the minute, so could be the green and red that get over the line, but we'll wait and see, Joe. That'll be an unbelievable game to look forward to this week. Play, 100%, my man. And then moving on to Sunday's action, it's Killegar against Ramor United in the Cairn Service Station Senior Championship 2022 semi-final, Kingspan Breffni Park, 4 p.m. Referee Pat Clark. Joe, Dillon, is this a touchy game to talk about?
No, absolutely not. It's
you could have been there.
Could have been there. Could have, would have, should have. Don't believe in that kind of stuff. You either you're good enough to be there, you're not. You had your chance and you didn't take it. Simple as that. No, look, that's it. I suppose if Kingscourt were there, if we had to, get by Killegar, I think our game is a high scoring game. I think we would have to look at ourselves defensively. I think Killegar might have to do that slightly. I do like the way Killegar play because they play similar to ourselves. They kind of go at it a bit, but I do think they probably need to mix it a little bit more, especially against an experienced Ramor team. Ramor again are the county champions and a good side, and they will be able to mix it both ways and all sorts of ways. But I think Ramor are missing, the few injuries that Ramor have had this year, the lads going away. There's an opportunity there for Killegar, and if they want it, it's definitely there's an opportunity for them to get through to a county final. On the other hand, Ramor are county champions. Yes, they had their injuries, but they're after, to dismantle Mullahoran, fairly well in the second game round. And they know that the pressure's on them, but they know that they have something to prove, that they can get to a county final regardless if lads are injured or not, or lads aren't there. So it's a hard game to call. I don't know. I couldn't call a winner. I do think Ramor's experience maybe slight favourites. I think Killegar coming into a game where they're maybe not expected to win could do them the world if could favour them. And it depends. If they if they want to do it, they have the players most definitely. They probably need to touch up on one or two things, but other than that, they're a lively team.
Yeah, I suppose obviously, yeah.
And I don't know who's going to win that either. Predictions.
And what impressed you most about the Killegar team when you did play them, Joe, in the quarter final? Like, was it just the likes of Manny McKenna coming from midfield? Obviously Oisin Brady there as well. Darragh Lovett up front, so they're literally young talent, and obviously we can't forget about Mr. Martin Riley.
Yeah, you hit all the nails in the head there, really, John. I think their forward, forward line speaks for itself. They've a serious forward line. They're fit, they're intense. That's what stood out to me. That ultimately probably won them the game. They kicked more scores than us.
Well, one more.
It was enough. But I think maybe Ramor might set up a little. Ramor will have looked at that game and they'll have seen that obviously you can't give Killegar the room to do this, that, and the other. And I think it might be a different ball game. However, that's it. When you've got talented footballers, they're hard to stop regardless of what systems you have in place sometimes as well. But what stood out to me is what you said was the forward line and how to play up, how to transition that ball, from midfield on the attack going forward. So if I was, I think Killegar and ourselves are similar in a way. If we were playing Ramor and it wasn't Killegar, I think we'd have to look at ourselves defensively. I think we were a bit open, and maybe Killegar is a bit open too. So probably you'd have to have yourself. They'd have to have themselves defensively well set, and obviously not to go away from their own, what they're good at is going forward and attacking well and taking their scores. So, that's what impressed me most about Killegar, and again, another interesting game, another exciting game, and a hard one to call too.
Yeah, and I suppose that's a great achievement. I suppose by Ramor really to get this far without the likes of James Brady from last year, scored 248 in the championship last year, and obviously to do Sean McAvoy's gone over to America to play soccer, and I think Brian O'Connell's on the way back. There's a few injuries being cleared up, but obviously James Brady, you take him out of the equation this year, Joe. Obviously Paddy McNamee has gone in there, but James Brady had a massive contribution this year.
Absolutely, yeah, and a tough one to cruciate. It's a tough injury, and wish James all the best. Yeah, look, they are down men. There's no doubt about it. I know when we were down men, it's hard, and the men they're down are leaders, but that's the it's an opportunity too. It's an opportunity for the other players to say, well, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to prove that I'm good enough, and I'm going to step up to the mark here and help this team get through. So you can look at that both ways, but definitely they're big misses. There's no doubt about it. But you have to look at it. They're in a semi-final. You have to go at it now. There's no room for looking at feeling sorry for themselves, which they won't be doing. But this Ramor team is definitely they're shrewd operators. They're not
Jack Brady.
Yeah, they're not gonna go down without a fight. There's no doubt about that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're in another county final either. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Some achievement to get there with the amount of men they've had their tools, but it's great stuff by them, and obviously great to see Paddy McAfee still going strong. I suppose. Right. What are you thinking
for that game?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm after doing 2 draws. I go through. I might, put an accumulator on 3 draws. The championship.
Jesus Christ! Where would you get it? Only in Cavan, Joe. You know. Strange things have happened, Joe. Strange things have happened. And I suppose a general kind of question to wrap up, Joe. I suppose, what are we making of the standard? I know obviously you were heavily involved with Kingscourt this year, but maybe your eyes weren't elsewhere. But do you feel the standard in Cavan Championship this year has been good?
I think so. I think it hasn't been too bad. It's hard to know. I don't know, John, to be honest with you. I think you're probably only judged you're probably only judged on that when you come out of Cavan, and how your championship is going, and how teams are really motivated when you go into the Ulster series. I think it has been good. It hasn't been bad. There's been good games, good lively games. I think it's getting to its crunch now. I think you could nearly judge it, nearly after this weekend, and make your call then. But I think so far the group stages, it's gone down to the wire. We didn't know would we in relegation, would it be a quarter final, but getting back to the answering your question, I think the standard has been fairly good. I don't think it's been poor. I think people have come to me after the Kingscourt Killegar game and said it was a high intensity. It was a good game. I don't know if that's true or not. But to answer your question, I suppose it has been a fairly a reasonably good championship.
So, and obviously, Joe, what did you, or what do you make of this? Was the format like, obviously you get your 4 games, and I suppose when you look around to other maybe formats in Ireland, suppose Tyrone it's straight knockout, and I suppose in Armagh it's straight knockout. I suppose there are other, but like, are you happy with the format in Cavan?
Yeah, I seem to be happy with it personally. We managed to get through to the quarterfinals, with that format. We'll not complain about it. Knockout's hard bet. Don't get me wrong. I know. I suppose it's an all or nothing, and you don't get any second chances. But sometimes it's nice like that. I think you when you're playing knockout football, there's a crunch about it. It's hard bet, and that's why I suppose, even though you're playing your group games and it's great to win them, and you need to win them, obviously, sometimes they don't feel like nearly knockout games until it does come to a crunch game. But if they went back to a knockout system, I would not say no to it either.
Yeah, kind of really gives the teams an incentive to kind of push on and do well. And I suppose, kind of last question, obviously, recent weeks, Cavan have added James Burke. James Burke was obviously coach at the Mayo Senior Footballers, and he's a Ballymun man as well, Joe. So obviously replacing Marty Curry from Monaghan. So those things are already looking up for next year. Absolutely,
and Marty Curry was a great trainer. Chatting to a few of the boys, and they spoke very highly of him. And this new man that's coming in, he's as the fella says, he'd have a very good CV. So it'd be great. I think they've a great background team in there. They've good management. So they're up now to Division 3, and that's it. I think Cavan will want to push on again and try and get out of Division 3. I think that'll be their aim again this year throughout the league, and obviously go at the championship again and take it from there. So I would presume that they're concentrating on probably trying to have a good league campaign and then gear up for the championship.
So was the last question, Joe. Mickey Graham, 2 more years. Happy man?
Is he or am I?
Well, both.
Yeah, absolutely. Mickey's a top man, and has Cavan at heart. As I said, they've Cavan is great. They've great management, great backroom team there, and you need time. You need time to when especially when you men come in to adjust and get into the systems of play. So another 2 years. It's great to have him there, and if I'd say Mickey has learned an awful lot of the time he's been there and seen different things, and will especially going forward in this season, will put them things into effect, and hopefully Cavan can push on and go another step further, especially come championship time.
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. Joe Dillon, thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, the podcast is brought to you by orgarich.com and Atak.ie. Use the code GEMAC podcast to get 15% off on orgarich.com and get the best skin sculpture on Atak.ie. Be attack minded. Mr. Dillon, have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the weekend, and thanks a million for joining me.
Cheers, Sean. All the best. You too.